To Sparrow, glad that you're here. You're doing the training program. I would like to stress, so this is pretty basic. Um, it's very hard to compound years and years of recruitment experience into a 90-minute, 2-hour course, right? Or even just a demonstration. Uh, but the way I would describe this, it's like watching a workout video. So you're not going to get ripped just watching the workout video, but by actually doing it day in, day out, learning, making mistakes, having setbacks, but also growing and having growth opportunities. By doing that, that's how you get good. That's how you get professional. That's how you make placements. So, um, not sure if you kind of just chanced upon us on your own, or if you were referred by a friend, or if we already had a conversation, if you applied directly via LinkedIn, via our website. It doesn't matter. You're here, and that's what counts. So just wanted to take a few minutes to introduce myself and ourselves. So we, Sparrow, we're a recruitment agency. Essentially, what that means is we're not sort of internal to any company, but we work with multiple companies, helping them fulfill their hiring needs. So the question is, why do they use us? Why don't they just do it on their own? Uh, One, they might not have internal recruiters. Uh, for your information, important point to know, many companies do indeed have their own internal sourcers that they use as well as agencies like ourselves. Uh, Furthermore, there are many, many recruiters out there, thousands, all probably messaging the same candidates that you're going to be messaging. So it's a competitive field. But to make the distinction, we are an independent recruitment agency, so we're not part of any company. We are our own entity. We are our own company. So we are standalone, and we work with multiple uh, different clients. So how is Sparrow different than other recruitment agencies is a very good question, and that will sort of tie into my experience and why we started the company. So I was working at a couple different recruitment firms in Los Angeles, and both had different business models, but both were highly unsatisfactory. The first one, and I do think they're sort of indicative of a general problem across the recruitment industry as a whole. The first one was a boutique firm, small, probably less than 10 people. Uh, you essentially would receive a base salary that was not a draw, just a base salary, and then 15% commissions. Long hours. The boss was very good at what he did, an excellent recruiter, but very on top of you. Not in a sort of uh, KPI systematic driven way, but sort of just in a more impulsive and personal kind of way. So yeah, 15% commission splits, minimum wage based salary, and not the best place to work, but definitely learned a lot, appreciative of the experience. The second place was really a corporate entity. So this is like a 1,000, 2,000 person company with offices in multiple cities all over the world. And they only paid you to be there 9 to 5, but they sort of made it normal to be there from 7 to 7, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you could just imagine waking up at 6 a.m., having to get to a job at 7 that you weren't even so enthusiastic about, minimum wage based salary, and it was a draw. So you basically had to pay back your salary with your commissions. Commissions were around 30%, but basically until you did $125,000 of business, you would not see any commission. So that really wasn't an ideal setup, anyways. Furthermore, tied to a desk, manager is on top of you, the head trainer or the head, internal uh, disciplinarian was always on top of you. How many resumes did you get? How many interviews did you get? Why were you only on the phone for an hour and 50 minutes and not 2 hours? You have to be on the phone for 2 hours every day. So very much like micromanagement, and you kind of just felt like you were just this part of this gigantic system, this tiny little part, and it definitely was not pleasant. It was dehumanizing. Furthermore, we were based very close to the beach, and I just didn't understand. It was really beyond me why, if I had 4 or 5 calls in a row in an afternoon, why can't I just go sit in a chair on the beach, tan, and make those calls there, answer my messages there? Why'd I have to be tied to the desk? So that got me thinking. It's 2019. When this industry started, they didn't really have the access to the internet, to mobile devices like we do today. And I really felt that there was an opportunity to enable people to sort of break the shackles of the 9 to 5, and to be independent. So what that really means is that uh, we developed a business model in which you are an independent contractor. You're not an employee W-2. So, and this is for anyone who wasn't clear. There are no, there's no salary. There are no benefits with Sparrow. Uh, you are your own boss. You're an independent contractor at 1099, not a W-2. What that means is you earn commissions, and that's how you earn your money. Commission splits are 50-50, which is almost unheard of in the recruitment industry. But we believe that if we incentivize people and give them upside, they will do the rest. So we don't believe that we need to micromanage you, and we don't want to micromanage you. This is really just about you going out there and doing what you need to do for for yourself personally, for your families, or with for whatever else you have going on. So this is very much tailored to people that maybe want another source of income, maybe are part-time students or full-time students, or people that just are in between jobs, figuring stuff out, and want to do this as a full-time opportunity. It's very simple. Our portal, which I hope you've had a chance to log into, that we were able to build, and we're constantly optimizing. So please, of course, let us know if you have any feedback. But all the companies we work with are here on our portal, and we're always updating them and adding new companies. And your job is to essentially get in touch with myself, another mentor, find out what job you might excel at, trying to fill, and then just find candidates for those roles. So people with recruitment experience, this might make more sense. This is purely a sourcing opportunity. It isn't client-facing. There's no business development. Your job is purely to fill the roles that are available. So if you fill that role, you get 50% of the commission. And again, if you have recruitment experience, bear with me, but essentially how it works is there's a job opening that our clients need filled. Your job, or our job, is to fill that role. You could find that person, and we'll show you different methods to do so, but really by any means necessary. If your individual is placed into that role, and to get placed, a few steps need to be completed. First, there's an introductory phone call. After that, there's usually a technical exercise or a technical interview. Lastly, there's an on-site. So this takes 4 to 6 weeks. Usually, a candidate will have other interviews going on, other on-sites, other recruiters talking to him. He'll have applied to companies directly. So you really have to develop a strong relationship with him, and make sure that you're managing him properly throughout that 4 to 6 week process. And that definitely is one of the challenges of the job. If he does well in the in-person on-site interview, it will follow that he will get an offer. If he accepts that offer, commission is received 30 days after his start date. So for instance, I had someone start on May 20th. Today is June 19th. They will be, the invoice will be received tomorrow, June 20th, if that makes sense. So that's just kind of how it works. It's possible your candidate goes on site, does not get an offer. It's possible your candidate goes on site, gets an offer, wants to negotiate, isn't happy with it. His company makes him a counter offer, he turns it down. And it's possible they make him an offer and he accepts it, and you just made some money. So the way we bill is we receive a percentage of the candidate's first year base salary. So if a candidate, let's say, accepts an offer for $100,000 and terms are 12%, you would receive $6,000. Because that's 50% of 12,000, which is 12% of 100,000. If terms were 20% and the candidate you placed was making $160,000, then the total deal size is 32,000, and your 50% is 16,000. So our goal really is for you to be billing within 2 to 3 months, and after that, you should be able to do a deal a month. Obviously, it depends on your personal situation. Maybe you get a check and you just want to go to Europe and enjoy the holiday, enjoy the summer. Totally fine. But our goal is to enable you at least to do a deal every month after that first deal, and that really should be every recruiter's goal. And there's ample opportunity on the platform, a lot of jobs to fill, a lot of interesting people to speak to. So if you're motivated and if you're active, then there's nothing really stopping you. So now the question is, you understand how it works. For example, we're working with a company, and if you go to the portal, this text is there. We're working with a company called Produce Pay. And Produce Pay is a company in downtown Los Angeles. We have excellent relationships with them. They're looking for a full stack Ruby on Rails developer. So the question is, how do we find that? Once we find that, how do we engage with them and properly get them into process and try to get them to accept our opportunity versus maybe the other ones they're looking at or anything else they have going on? So we'll show you a few methods. I would like to stress, though, we encourage creativity, innovation. Like we said, you're your own boss. So there's nothing stopping you from finding your own method of doing this and filling roles that way. It's as simple as there's a JD, there's a job description, and we just need to do whatever is possible to fill that role. So let's get started. Just to provide some context before we do, there are thousands of recruiters out there. Companies themselves, like I said, have their own internal recruiters. Good candidates receive dozens of messages a week, so multiple a day, and hundreds a year. So keep this in mind. It is very competitive out there. The name of the game in sourcing candidates is to get as many qualified candidates in a process and to build a solid pipeline. Okay, so if you want to be confident that you're billing, you have to send so many candidates to a particular role that it is impossible for you not to fill it. The wrong approach to take is to send a couple good candidates, quote unquote, count your chickens before they hatch, right? And then sort of take your foot off the pedal, relax a little bit. What's going to happen then is this will probably lead to bitter disappointment. Murphy's Law tends to occur more often than not in this industry. So what might happen is one guy will receive an offer, turn it down. The other one might not receive an offer, and you were hanging your hopes on those two folks, and nothing came of it. So the name of the game, like I said, is just consistently getting good people into process. Those could materialize at a later date when a new company opening opens up. So you just don't want to let your foot off of the pedal. You want to keep on fighting. You want to keep on going, and just get as many good people into process as possible. So much so that it is impossible for it not to work out. So I hope that makes sense. There have been instances where I've submitted one candidate to a role, and it was the first person I introduced. It was a placement. There have been instances where I've submitted 100 candidates to a role, and it just seemed like nothing would go right. This one rejected the offer. This one, the comp wasn't too high. This one, it was too far of a commute. This one, it was this. This one, it was that, and it's frustrating. So you really just got to keep on at it, keep on at it, keep on at it. And if you do so, using the tools, methods we taught you, you have a high chance of being very, very successful. Average deal size on our platform, and this is just historical data, is around $15,000 to $20,000. So if you do that deal, I know it may seem like a lot at the time with no recruitment experience, just kind of watching this video, but it's entirely feasible using sort of our platform, and if you're persistent, you work hard, organized, to do so within a calendar year to build $100,000. So each deal could be around 8 to 12K. We've had deals as high as $16,000. So your goal really should be to do at least a deal a month after your first deal, if you're working very hard. Like I said, everyone's personal situation is different. So first off, in order to properly source, I'm just going to open a new tab here. So Aaron is a fellow I actually placed, by the way. He is a great engineer, and he's a full stack Ruby engineer. But I'm going to take you to a page of a fellow recruiter. His name is Raphael, and as you can see, he's working elsewhere now as well. But he's also a technical recruiter at Sparrow Associates. So before you start actually sourcing, as LinkedIn is one of the main tools that we use, it is important that you just indicate that you are a technical recruiter, obviously that you're with Sparrow, so that people understand when you reach out to them that you are reaching out to them for a reason. Another program I recommend getting is GitHub. They were actually recently acquired by Microsoft. It's a great platform. We use it because if you go to Aaron's profile, for instance, a lot of engineers have their contact info there, which we use to tell them about different opportunities. So between LinkedIn, GitHub, and between LinkedIn and GitHub, those are probably the two biggest resources that we use, amongst others. But just to maybe run you through a typical search. So Produce Pay, as well as a couple other companies on the portal right now, are looking for full stack Ruby on Rails engineers. So how would I go about doing this? Where do I even start? All valid questions. I'm just going to open up another link. Like I said, creativity is encouraged. If you know someone personally, whatever it is, like there's really nothing stopping you from filling the role. Just your own imagination, energy, organization, persistence. But an example of how I would go about the search is Built in LA is an incredible resource. So they have all these companies here. These are just some of them, right? Google is another resource. Find out companies in LA using Ruby on Rails. But essentially, you find out what companies are in LA, and then you could run a search on LinkedIn. So search for people, current companies, and you could put any of the few companies you saw there. Fair, Spokio is another one. Nation Builder is another one, and the keywords that we're looking for is Rails or Ruby, right? So we're looking for people with those skills. So what happens when we do this search? What are we looking for? We're essentially looking to bring up people at these companies in Los Angeles. So this company is in Los Angeles. Always try not to deal with relocation. It could be quite complicated. But we basically are going to look for Ruby on Rails engineers in Los Angeles, and this is how we would do it. What I would then do is I would go to, I have preset messages. It's sort of like Twitter. Essentially, I need to add a note because I sent out so many invitations, but you probably don't have to yet. I would just go click add note, write the candidate's first name, and just send them this message. As you can see, there's sort of a limit to the number of characters you could input. And then I would just, I would try to get them interested in an opportunity, play around with it. There's no one exactly correct way to write these messages. If you want to be funny, if you want to be very serious, whatever it is, feel free to do that. I then just, if I had their email, I would just put in their email, send an invitation, and they would get a connection request, not different than the ones that I have here. So as you can see, some people send me messages, LinkedIn connection requests. Some of them add a note. You don't have to add a note, but I find it will increase your chances of getting quality responses significantly. So let's go back to Aaron's profile. Aaron is a talented Ruby on Rails engineer. As I said, GitHub is a very important resource. I recommend strongly making an account. It takes a minute or two. It's totally free, of course. So essentially, I knew Aaron had sort of the profile that Produce Pay was looking for, but I messaged him. I connected with him on LinkedIn, and then I actually messaged him, and he would not answer me. Either he didn't see my message. He's a good friend now, but he didn't see my message. He wasn't interested at the time. He thought it was just another recruiter message. So you can actually get anyone on LinkedIn's contact information after you've connected with them by clicking See Contact Info. So as you can see, his phone number is here. his email is here. If you're not connected with someone, you can't see that information. But if you are, utilize it. So I always, take down people's information, and I have email templates, which is shown here. And again, be creative. This is what I use, and then I'll just kind of copy and paste this text, and write Aaron, and then send that along with a compelling subject line. So another thing I encourage you to do is to take down his phone number, give him a call, leave him a voicemail, shoot him a text. If you think he'll be good for the role, look at that as money. There's tens of thousands of dollars on the line potentially, so you want to make sure that you get a hold of him and that he sort of sees you. Many recruiters are messaging him, people that you don't know, but there's thousands of people out there, hundreds of people. He's getting hundreds of messages a year, dozens a week from other recruiters, so you have to stand out in some way. Look at his profile in depth, see if there's any talking points you could speak of. See if he has any interests that you have in common, any hobbies, if you went to a similar university, or if you know someone that did. But there's really, no limit to what your creativity can do here. So, but what happened with me, Aaron wasn't there. He wasn't answering my LinkedIn messages, so maybe he just didn't check LinkedIn. So I went on GitHub, I found his email, and I sent him, I think, 4 or 5 emails until he responded. And thankfully, now he was placed at Produce Bay, and we received a commission for it. But if I didn't go that extra mile, if I didn't get his email from GitHub, then it would never have been a placement, and I wouldn't have the friend and business acquaintance in Aaron that I now have. So always important to go that extra mile. So if you kind of just put on a podcast, put on some music that you like, go through this list. You use your all my message templates are here. Use your message templates. Sort of just connect. If you have their email, add it, but you shouldn't need to do this. Write their name, this message. Feel free to tailor it to each individual profile. So you could get through this list. It's really just clicking a few buttons. 70 profiles in 10, 15, 20 minutes. What will happen next is some people will respond, and some people won't. Let's say send out 200 connection requests with a note. Maybe 20 people will accept. Maybe more, maybe less. But then hopefully once you're accepted, then there's a message feature. You could actually send them messages on LinkedIn. It's sort of like an internal messaging system, not different than Facebook Messenger, Slack, anything else like that. And you could also see when they've read your message, which is obviously very helpful. Once you've connected with the candidate too, and I have like almost 13,000 connections, strongly recommend you always get those connections up. It just is immensely helpful. But eventually you'll have a database of emails. So every time you connect with someone, look for their email address, send them an email if they haven't gotten back to you on LinkedIn. If they have a phone number there, which is probably there 10% of the time, shoot them a text, give them a call, get in touch with them. So between sending them emails, texts, and phone calls, you should be able to get a hold of them and get to tell them about the opportunity, stand out versus all the other recruiters, and they'll see that you're serious. So we could run searches based on companies we hear about or see on the web or in the news. You can make for yourselves Google alerts. That's definitely one way to do it. But even just by starting off of one profile, you could find limitless other profiles of applicable candidates. So I'll show you how. So if you look at Aaron's experience, you can see that he worked at a few different companies. One of them is Nation Builder. So you could actually click on the Nation Builder page, see all the employees at Nation Builder, and then similarly type in Rails or Ruby. You get 23 results of candidates now that use Ruby on Rails at Nation Builder who are there currently. And the reason that I did what I did is because Aaron is a Ruby on Rails engineer, which means the previous companies he's worked at also use Ruby on Rails, which means that I'm going to now look at what companies he was at previously and see if there are any suitable candidates there. Another thing that I do is every time I connect with someone who's a good candidate, especially, I go through their our mutual connections, and I try to find other candidates who might be good fits. So definitely recommend doing that as well. But let's go back to the Nation Builder page. So I hope you follow. I want to find out where else Aaron worked because they probably use uh, Ruby also. So go to their company page, see all employees, type in the keywords for this search. By the way, we're doing a Ruby on Rails search right now, but the skill set is transferable. So you should be able to source for anything. Healthcare professionals, um, uh, data scientists, designers, everything. Uh, so now that I'm on the Nation Builder page, I'm going to click Connect Add Note, go through all these profiles, right? Pages 1, 2, and 3. Shouldn't take more than 5-10 minutes. Then I'm going to see, where did these people work prior? Maybe I could find another interesting company. And I see that Byung Kim used to work at a company called Zest Finance. So let me check out Zest Finance. Um, okay, so let me type in Rails or Ruby as well. 12 results. That's awesome. Let me check out. So obviously I'm going to go here, connect, add note to all these fellows. But let me check out Calvin's profile. Did he work anywhere that was interesting? Oh, Spokio. Let's check out Spokio. Let's see. So Rails or Ruby, and wow, we just got 30 something results. So this is a recruiter. I wouldn't message her. This guy's test automation. I wouldn't message him. But software developer, back-end developer, all fair game, good candidates, worth reaching out to. If you get them, probably would be a placement. Something to note in this job: almost always, the candidates you reach out to, their first answer is going to be, "Thank you for reaching out, but I'm not interested," or "Thank you for reaching out, but I'm not looking right now." Maybe in other forms of recruitment, you could post a job ad and get inbound candidates that are good, but that's not how it works in our industry. So um, we could post job ads, and the companies we work with themselves post job postings on LinkedIn and Indeed and Monster, everywhere. But that's not how you make placements in our industry, at least. So the reason companies use us to help them find people is because all the best engineers are employed, uh, happily employed, and well paid. So they're not going to be sending their resume out because they already are sort of happy where they are. So we have to reach out to them, get past that initial hesitation, get them out of their routine, and convince them that a new job is even better, more lucrative, pays more, better work-life balance. The name of the game is you just want to find out what their interests are and just sell to that. So if they're looking for a shorter commute, hey, this would be a shorter commute. If they're looking for more money, hey, I could get you more money. But it's really important to find out what they want, and then you sell to those needs. But like I said, maybe in other forms of recruitment is different, but we really need to go out and actively source candidates. Okay, they're not going to come to us, and initially they're not even going to say yes. But that's why we get paid to do what we do, and that's why it's potentially a very lucrative field if you have the right attitude, you know what you're doing, and you're working smart. So yeah, so I would go to the Spokio page, connect and add note with all these folks as well. That's another 30 something people, and as you can see, this is almost an infinite loop. Like you could literally do this forever, just going company to company, page to page. Uh, uh, One thing I do want to stress is it is most important not to just look at every profile before connecting with them. Connect, add note, just build your network, and once they've connected with you, then you can decide if they're worth really pursuing aggressively or not. But definitely don't just sort of uh, do it too slow. Like you really need to get through a lot of profiles and cover a lot of ground. So uh, be sorry afterwards. But in the beginning, you really need to sort of just get your name and opportunity in front of as many people as possible. Uh, so you'll be doing this a lot. once you're connected with people, you'll be sending a lot of actual emails, maybe even phone calls, uh, and text messages, right? LinkedIn messages. And the name of the game, the goal is to get them on that introductory call in which you speak to them and to get them into the interview process. Once you do that, aside from scheduling their calls, getting their availability, if they're approved by the hiring company, your job is pretty much just to manage them through the process, make sure everything goes smoothly, wish them luck before every call, and ask them how it went afterwards. So that's really what the job entails after you've gotten them uh, into process. So now the question is, okay, so a candidate reached back out, answered your message finally, and he said he's interested. So what do you do? So first off, I would run it by a mentor or myself or someone else because one thing you want to do, you want to develop a good eye for what a good profile looks like, and that's a very valuable skill and tool to have. So if you speak to someone who's irrelevant for 15, 20 minutes, you just wasted 50, 20 minutes of your time that you could have been working and searching for new candidates. So if you run it by your mentor and he says, oh, not the best profile, here's why, you can then use that feedback to optimize going forward. But once you get a candidate on that first call, that they say they're interested, they're interested in hearing more, you just want to get them on the phone ASAP. So say, hey, are you free tonight? Are you free tomorrow morning? Let's hop on a quick call. What number can I best reach you at? Get their phone number, get them on the phone, give them a call, sell them an opportunity. So the question is, how do you sell them an opportunity? So you have to do a basic amount of familiarizing yourself with what the opportunity is. So on the resources section of the website, all that information is there. So information about the companies, their websites, their LinkedIn pages, their director of engineering, everything is there. I think you have to sound at least intelligent enough to have a 15, 20-minute phone call and sell it to them. If there's something you don't know, just say you don't know. But you have to be able to at least speak knowledgeably about the company, what they do, what technology they use, and where they're based, in case people need a commute. And then you want to have a 15-minute phone call conversation with this candidate. About 15 minutes. It could be 5, it could be 25, it could be 10, it could be 20. But you want to have about a 15-minute call in which you just kind of meet each other. There are key points that you want to hit in this call, and I would recommend writing it down. So the key points are, are they currently still in the same company? Sometimes people have left and they're looking, but they didn't indicate it left on their LinkedIn. So are they currently at same company? Where are they based in LA? Can they commute? That's a big question. What tech are they most comfortable with? What tech stack? Are they actively interviewing? And if so, what stage are they at? Obviously, it's important to understand where they are in the process, because if they're at the on-site stage elsewhere, we have to tell our hiring companies to really, really rush. And then also what their comp expectations are. So you cannot actually ask what they're making right now. They're not obliged to answer, and it's actually illegal. But you want to ask them what their comp expectations are. So essentially, by doing so, you'll understand if they're in our price range or maybe if they're too expensive. It's a market, after all. So you want to cover all of those points, but you want it to be a conversation. You want it to be a social conversation. You don't want it to be like you're just reading off of a list. What happens when you read off of a list is the candidate does not buy into you or what you're doing. You're just any other recruiter, and you've wasted his time and annoyed him, and he's not going to send you his resume, and he's not going to want to work with you. So the goal of this call is to get their resume, and then you send that resume to the client. Well, let me clarify. The name of the game, you want to get their resume, and then you want to input their information onto the portal. We will then give you feedback, and if they are up to par, submit them to the client. So let's say, for instance, the candidate was Aaron. Chien, the one we were just looking at. His email was, xyz@gmail.com. This is his phone number. Um, the resume URL. So that's basically his resume. His LinkedIn URL is his LinkedIn page. And then in this notes section is where you include the details that we need to know to determine if they're a viable candidate or not. So all of this should be covered in the 15-minute call. You get their resume, and then they're into process. We'll give you feedback. You want to make the notes as detailed as possible. And another thing that's always very helpful to get is their availability. This will prevent you going back and forth and asking them their availability over email, which could actually be a little bit annoying. So, this 15-minute call, again, it could be a little bit longer, but I always like to, because all of my calls are in my calendar. I use Microsoft Outlook. Everything I'm doing in a given day is on my calendar. Call with this person, call with that person. All the times are there. So I'll, look at their LinkedIn. So I'll look them up on social media. I'll see where they went to university. I'll see where they grew up. I'll see if they have any special interests, if they speak any languages, if they're at any clubs in college. If I see someone loves basketball, I'll start talking to them about basketball in the beginning, just sort of schmoozing and getting to know each other, and that's really just to get buy-in, just to be like their friend. And I can't even tell you how valuable that is in the future. So like I said, to get people on that phone, you really, I have follow-ups here. I've sent 7-8 emails to the same person until they replied. They don't even tell me why they didn't reply in the beginning, but eventually they did get back to me, and it turned into a placement. So you cannot, just send one message and say, okay. Another thing you cannot do is just let someone say, hey, thanks for reaching out, but I'm not interested, and leave it at that. No, you either want this person to get so annoyed that they block you or tell you, please stop messaging me, or leave me alone, in which case stop. Or that they're like, okay, wow, you're incredibly persistent. I'll hop on a call with you. People respect and appreciate people that care about what they do and that are reaching out to them more than just one time. Okay, it's not just going to happen after one time. Almost always, you have to be persistently reaching out to the candidate, sometimes for days and days, in order to get a good response. So, like I said, volume is very important. You want to get them onto the portal. You want to build up a pipeline, and get as many quality candidates in a process as possible. You got to be persistent. So, we try to get you to a point where your day to day could really just be 30 minutes to an hour. A big thing I like to do, and we have resources in the portal. One of them is a list tool called Wunderlist. I just make a kind of old school to-do list in Outlook, where it's basically just all the things I need to get to. So schedule this interview, schedule that interview. What about this guy? What about that guy? Did that one answer you? Did this one answer me? And just, every morning before the workday starts, before 9 a.m., so I usually start at around 7, I just go through my to-do list, say, hey, you forgot to send me your resume. Can you please send it? Hey, does this time work for your interview? Send that person another email. Send this person another email. All the names of good candidates that haven't gotten back to me yet are on my to-do list, and I get to them every single day. So a to-do list is an incredibly effective tool. Another effective tool is also your calendar and your Outlook, just to make sure you're keeping track of all your calls. So you should be in a nice flow and a nice momentum every day. You should have a to-do list. You should have a bunch of calls set up, people whose resumes you're waiting on, people who you're speaking with, people who you're waiting to speak with. But if you're doing the job right, new connections, new emails coming in every day. I go to my sent emails and I follow up with customized follow-up messages. So if you're doing all of these things, you'll be busy every day. You'll start to see things happening, and that's where you want to be. Where you have a lot of inbound traffic, and then you're also getting your outbound traffic done. I like to get my inbound traffic done before 9 a.m. I find it to be incredibly effective, and I think it would work for you too, but to each their own. Another thing about the recruitment industry, and this is, I think, especially helpful for those with full-time jobs or other time commitments. Days like, and not to diminish the importance of any holidays, of course, but days like Labor Day, Memorial Day, Columbus Day, uh, July 4th, whatever it is, days like that, people are more willing and happy to hop on a phone call and more responsive to messages. So Saturdays and Sundays, weeknights after 8 p.m. when people are not working or commuting, that's really when you make your money. So even if you have a full time job, 9 to 5, you could still make solid money doing this on the weekends or during the week after 5 p.m. Excuse me. But Yeah, so again, you don't have to do this full time. It could be something that you're purely doing an hour a day, 30 minutes a day, a few hours a week, whatever it is. But if you're proactive in reaching out to us for help, we will definitely be proactive in reaching out to you. But if you would rather work independently with limited interaction, and you're going to Europe for 2 weeks and you don't want to hear from us, then you won't. Uh, this really was meant with your best interest in mind. Uh, we have been recruiters at agencies. We know how it works, and we really believe that by incentivizing you, you'll see the upside and you'll want to do a good job. Uh, for those who are experienced at recruitment, this question has come up, and if you're new, that's fine. But I think this will be a helpful point. Sparrow in the past has sponsored people's LinkedIn Premium accounts or recruiter seats or other sort of software or memberships. And even at the corporate level, it's a very high turnover industry. So we do not, obviously for us too, it's extremely high turnover. So we don't sponsor outright your LinkedIn Premium or Recruiter Seat or other sort of platforms memberships. However, any platform or membership that you did in the beginning, we will reimburse after your first deal. Uh, so once you've done a deal, not from your 50%, from ours, we're more than happy to compensate you for any costs incurred to get to that point. And we will be happy, if it's within reason, to sponsor certain tools and platforms for the future too. So I hope that makes sense. It's happened in the past where we've had recruiters very excited, very interested, get in the door, and then 2 weeks later, after we paid for their recruiter seat, we're stuck with the bill. So obviously that doesn't make sense, but we believe that this arrangement is actually quite fair. So you introduce a candidate, they're on the platform, you'll be able to see everything here in the candidate tracker portal. And we will give you feedback on the candidate. So we'll either say like, he's not good, too junior. You'll get an email saying, hey, you were given feedback on this candidate. Um, and maybe he is a good candidate, and we'll say, awesome, we're introducing him to this and this and this and that company. Another thing to include in the note sections, by the way, is which companies he is cleared for. Cleared means like, are we able to send him? So that 15-minute call is like the clearing call. So you want to clear the candidate, and once you do, they're on the platform. We'll give you feedback. If it's good feedback, and if the client, the hiring company feedback is also good, we'll then ask you for their interview availability. And you could have gotten the availability on the first call. If not, then you'll get a notification via email, and also when you log into the portal, all your notifications will be here, this little bell. And you'll then get their availability. We'll confirm an introductory phone call. Then there'll be a technical phone call, and then there'll be the on-site interview. So before each step, it is your job to make sure that they're ready, to make sure that they're excited. So to prep them and to give them a call beforehand, wish them luck, to text them afterwards. Hey, how did that go? How do you feel? Any concerns? Did you feel prepared? And obviously, if they have any questions, those should be addressed before the call. But it's imperative to do that before and after each interview, just to make sure they don't forget, because they have a lot going on, and to get good feedback that you could hopefully pass on to future candidates to ensure that they do well. and really just to stay in touch with them. Not in an overbearing manner, but just during the interview process. And Obviously, we will help you if there's anything that you need to know about prepping the candidates. But the goal is to get them on site as soon as possible and to get them to accept an offer that we hope they'll find satisfactory. If they do accept that offer, then as we mentioned, you get a lot of money. The name of the game is you just want to fill this up with candidates. Don't stop. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. It's a mortal mistake of recruitment, and it won't be pretty. So, just make sure that your foot is always on the gas, that you're always doing quality work, and that you're being very organized with calendar, with appointments on your calendar, that everything is very organized, that you're being persistent, that you're in people's faces, that you're having good introductory calls, you're asking people for referrals, which is big. You're finding good companies, finding out information like, hey, maybe Spokio is having some turnover problems, and a lot of the engineers aren't happy because it's a bad culture. Go after all those engineers at that company, and just kind of keep your ears to the ground. And when things are going good, keep going, and when things are going bad, because it could be you're not getting as much responses as you want. You're not seeing the results that you want, but it really is important in this job to just have a positive attitude, to be optimistic, because those things are really reflected when you speak to candidates. And no one wants to work with someone with a Debbie Downer. People want to work with someone who they think really knows their stuff, who's going to make them a lot of money, who's an exciting individual, and will allow them to succeed in their future job. So you really have to come across confident and like you know what you're talking about, even if you don't. You just have to sort of familiarize yourselves with the opportunities, and just find quality people, get them in the process, manage them throughout that process, and hope for the best. If you get a good candidate with certain skills in a certain location, try to find more people just like him. Try to imitate that. But always, just kind of keep going, and that's really it. Like I said, it's not rocket science, it's not brain surgery, but you will get good. You will notice idiosyncrasies. You will develop a better eye for a good profile with time. Watching this video will give you enough tools to start. So again, you want to indicate that you're a technical recruiter at Sparrow, like Raphael. You want to get in touch with myself or another recruiter to mentor you, and we could always help you come across or get paired up with a mentor, and yeah, and then you're kind of ready to go. Feel free to maybe tailor the messages to your own specifications. Create another email account, create a new LinkedIn account if you want. The goal should be to get to 500 connections within a month at least, and then it'll kind of say just 500 plus, like on Aaron's profile, and yeah, always want to be getting good candidates into process. Our goal for recruiters is at least 3 to 5 interviews a week, meaning that you're getting probably double that in terms of candidates into process every week. And candidate management is something we'll work on together. That 4 to 6 week process, once you get them into process, is something that we help with extensively. But your job is really just to identify talent based on the job descriptions and just get those people into process. Make sure you cover detail on that first call, and just try to get them on site ASAP for the in-person, and hopefully they get an offer, and hopefully your relationship stands up, and we can close them and you could see your commission. So that's really a brief overview of what recruitment is, what Sparrow does. Like I said, it's really just kind of step one, square one, and we believe that you'll get much better while doing the job. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly via LinkedIn or via my work email address. It's just Jake at sparrowasoc.com, and I'll be more than happy to help. But otherwise, happy hunting. Potentially a very lucrative opportunity on your hands, one in which you could work from home, from cafes, while traveling. You don't have to commute. It's all commission. Definitely an opportunity to earn at least six figures within the first 12 months. So we sincerely wish you the best of luck, and we're here to help with any questions or concerns. Anything you need clarified, just please get in touch directly via the portal, via our website, or feel free to reach out directly to me. Thank you so much for bearing with us, and we wish you the best of luck, and looking forward to doing some deals together very soon. Thank you.